Hello, my name is Daniel S. Hildy. I am from Bern, Indiana. Lived there all my life. Rural Bern, not in town. I grew up there. Born in 1993. And I was blessed to be born where I was born. It's been I've had a pretty good life. There's a lot of experiences, opportunities. So I want to kind of break into life as a routine on the Hilty farm. Trying to think, when I was younger, I think in 2000 we started raising rats and mice, colored rats and mice. But we started with like 5 or 6 females and 1 male, I believe. And that was, I don't even remember, I think that was mice. But anyway, we had, I don't know, I think they still do, but there was thousands. They probably raised 3,000 or 4,000 rats a week now. I worked in there for a number of years. Most people, when they turn like 15, 16, get out of school, they go get a job. That wasn't the case for me. And I don't know. You're kind of looked at as different when you're abnormal. And it's actually easier to not have a job. It's actually easier to stay home. It's actually easier to do all this. And then, being it's easier, I don't know, what are you going to do? Are you going to get more done, get less done? We probably did the latter part, probably got less done, and it's just, how can you say it? It would have been a blessing if we'd have seen it that way, but to us it was a bliss because we weren't like normal. Because the normal guy would be out working, well, everybody kind of wants to feel normal, but I don't think normal is any good. Normal is nothing great. I'd rather be noted as abnormal than normal. Because the Broadway, the bright väg, is the normal väg, right? And we don't want to be found on the Broadway. So, way back when, we'll jump ahead. We had a couple cows. We milked some cows. We had a lot of horses. And we had a lot of rats and mice. Thousands of them. So, there was, I could say countless stories. We had the cubes, probably about vary from a 1/2 inch long to 1.5 inches, about as thick as my finger, if you can see. And sometimes we would have cube fights in the rat stall. We'd throw cube fights, and this was pretty heated, but this is us boys, and a lot of young boys fight at some point. It don't matter how they were born, what they were born. That's not really that far out of the normal, or maybe it is. I don't think it is. We had cube fights at times. And sorry, I'm out here I think it's Edina, Missouri, by Cozy Oaks Lodge. I'm sitting on the swing right underneath the zip line. Hey, let me show you the zip line. That's the cable right up there. Goes out probably about 600 feet over that water. I rode it yesterday, and my oldest daughter, Marlene, rode it. She's 5. She rode the zip lines multiple times yesterday. But anyway, at any rate, my home life, I can't really complain that I had plenty to eat. I had plenty of clothes. I had parents that were concerned to make sure we were, well within the fence of a church. And, we had times we were outlaws and got out of the fence. And that was our thing, was when we did stuff out of the ordinal, we were, that was our conscience, was that we're outside of the fence. And we should follow our conscience. It is our guide, and after all. But growing up, I latched on to several addictions early when I was 16. One, I didn't latch on to it. I thought I did right away. I didn't latch on to alcohol till I was a little older, but that was pretty popular amongst the young folks. Not amongst everyone, not even close. A fair amount. You were to see how much alcohol you could handle without, being considered drunk because you weren't staggering. So I remember the very night I first went with the Rumspringa, or the crowd, whatever you want to call it. That very night I had part of a drink, a mixed drink. Those are strong. They're not all of them are super strong. Some of them are really strong, some of them aren't. That's quite a bit stronger than beer either way, but they're not all the same. But I don't know when I really got hooked on alcohol. It's probably, I started drinking it, a little bit more, and my dad, he warned me of it, and I appreciate my dad, and his thoughts on alcohol were pretty sound. So yeah, there's a lot to be said about the Rumspringa. I like partying a little bit, get some good beat music going and drink a little bit more and get wild. And my dad and mom didn't teach me that. Okay, there's other people that taught me that, the young folks primarily, and I can't blame anyone for what I did. But that was kind of the start of my wild side, and of course I got into iPods, and sometimes I had one, sometimes I didn't. They would come and go. Yeah, I would just kind of come and go. Wasn't always the same. But I'm going to draw back to when I was, it was in 2002, before I turned 9. So I would have been 8 years old. February 24th of 2002. And we were in the Amish church, and my oldest brother got baptized that day. That afternoon, the church was at our neighbor's, so we just walked to church. And there's some people that stopped in that day, cousins and stuff, in which my grandma and grandpa lived right there on the same farm I did. So I grew up with grandpa and grandma. We called them Dottie and Mommy. And Dottie died in May of 2002. And Mommy died in I think in 2015. So I was like 21 years old when she died, and she was near and dear in my heart. I still miss her. I really miss her today. But anyway, so Dottie and Mommy lived on the same property we did. They lived on an adjoining house. It was probably, I think, 6 or 8 feet from our garage. So it was only a hop, skip, and a jump, and you were over there. So they had some company, and some of my cousins and stuff were there. So they were teasing my brothers that they're going to turn his pigeons loose, and I was very defensive of my brother. And I was trying to stand by his side, and he wanted me to go, and I said no, I'm going to watch, because I did not want them to turn his pigeons loose. So he didn't mean anything bad by it. He grabbed me and he kind of threw me onto the straw mill, and he threw me just He threw me just right that my left femur twisted and I broke my leg. 2002. Was in a body cast for 6 weeks. Got out. I can still run and walk and jump like anybody else, but they did what do you call it? They put me in traction for like 12 days. So I spent 12 days at Lutheran, I believe it was the Lutheran Hospital in Fort Wayne. And so that happened in 2004. That was my left femur. In 2004, we did an addition on the house, and we're remodeling, and so I ran through there and I stepped in multiple rusty nails, and I got bone infection really bad. That was more painful than a broken leg, believe it or not. But I got out of that one. I was on strong antibiotics for a long time, so I struggled with the sun for a long time. I still kind of do in the hot summertime. And I think it was about 2 years later, and there was some kind of get together for work for one of my brothers' work at Hildy Builders, I think. And we were playing tackle black man, where you got to tackle the guys so you get them out. And I was the last one and the last one left, running back and forth. And so one of the younger guys tackled me, and he tackled me hard, and I broke my left collarbone. It was pretty painful. I told him, get off me, I won't run away, but he was not going to let me get away again, because I got away too many times. And anyway, so I got that mended, and my left collarbone, and it was every 2 years there for a while, but then I don't think I had any major incidents for quite a few years. I think the next one I was probably like 18 or 19, I'm not sure, playing volleyball at a crowd, and I like to dig in volleyball. I like to dive and scoop that ball up and bring it up, and I did, and I broke my right hand, says on my right side for the first time. As always, my left femur, my left collarbone, and my left foot had bone infection, but now it was my right side. And I don't struggle with any of that today. That I got hospitalized a few times. But so I broke my right hand. I put 3 screws in it. They're still in today. Trying to think. By the time I was 21, I had a hernia. Had a little hernia surgery. And I can still run, jump, and play today, just like anybody else. Maybe not as good as everybody else, but I love playing volleyball. I love playing a lot of stuff. My lungs aren't as great as they once were. But anyway, that's kind of an introduction to some of my growing up years, and I have a lot of good memories of growing up at home, and I'm thankful for it. I'm thankful I was taught the values of hard work and some of the other traditions. You know, not everybody gets to grow up Amish. It's actually an opportunity. And I think we should be thankful for it. So, those are just some opportunities, some stuff that happened to me. And I want to continue on to the next part soon here.